Welcome to the first day of summer on this farm where furnaces are banned. We got a lot done in spring, but new crops and tasks lay ahead of us. I want to reach the bottom of the mines before the end of this season, as well as reach 5 huts with one of the villagers and get my skills to level 5. I also want to upgrade my house, so we have a lot to do and not much time to do it. I start off by doing the normal farm jobs. I got rid of the old crops from spring and began to hoe a new area for the summer crops. I plant down the seeds that I had stored away, which included 9 melon seeds. I then watered them all before going south and collected a sweet pea for the bundle, as well as collecting a spiceberry. I found a chipped amphora and decided that I should probably visit the museum. I handed over the chipped amphora and the fire quartz. I went to the community centre and handed in the sweet pea and the spiceberry. I then went to Pierre's and bought a bit of everything. I got overexcited and basically went on a bit of a shopping spree. Needing more space and money, I head to the Adventurers Guild and sell spare swords and shoes before heading back to Pierre's to buy more stuff. Giddy with excitement, I started to run home but got distracted at the bus stop and found a grape which I needed for the bundle. I immediately did some seed planting and then realised that I had too many seeds. Eventually everything was planted and it was time for the great watering. I walked past Robin, who was kindly building me a coop, and went into the cave where 2 pieces of fruit were waiting for me. They were needed for bundles as well. I handed in the grape and completed the bundle. I also handed in the blackberry and the wild plum. I then went to bed with Hugo by my side. Day 30 starts with Robin telling me that she's finished building my coop, and she gave me money for it. Farm duty comes calling in the form of watering way too many crops. After I water all the crops, I head to the river in the forest and start fishing for some summer fish. I did manage to catch a rainbow trout, but then I headed to the beach in an attempt to catch a pufferfish, but I got a tilapia and an achievement. I also managed to catch a red mullet. Eventually I decided that I should probably kill some more void spirits so that I can get some more copper bars. Unfortunately, I'm unsuccessful and decide to leave before it gets too late. I finally went to bed and dreamed of level 4 fishing and level 5 combat. On day 31 there was an earthquake during the night, but that's not my problem. All these crops needed watering and there was only one farmer to do it. Once all my crops were watered, I checked the mail and saw that Lewis wanted me to find his shorts. I totally won't forget that. I'm not actually sure what I was doing for most of the morning, as I was just running around not doing anything, but I do happen to find a rainbow shell. Then I begin fishing. I do manage to catch a tuna before heading off to do something else. If you were wondering what I was going to do, I was going to kill some more void spirits to get some more copper bars. I also find an emerald in a crate. I finally find the ladder to floor 85, and also 2 void spirits were waiting for me. I was a bit nervous with my low health, but I managed to take them out, despite not finding a copper bar. But I did find this little dude to be particularly annoying. With very low health and energy, I hide in the community centre and give the tuna to a bundle and realised I never gave over the tilapia. Wounded by my own stupidity, I went home and found Hugo waiting for me and went to bed. Day 32 starts with more endless watering. After that, I head to Clint's to process more geodes and find a few new things. I donate the items to Gunther and get a reward and an achievement. I also get a snazzy new rare crow. At the beach, I find an anchor. Well, Gunther will want that. But before I see him, I go do a bit more fishing for pufferfish. I catch a tilapia and hopefully I'll be able to remember to put it in the bundle this time. I miss the time slot to catch a pufferfish and go do something else, like cry in a corner. I actually give the anchor to Gunther. I also remember to hand in the tilapia and the fire quartz and complete a bundle, which I hadn't forgotten about at all. Clint very kindly opens some more geodes for me, which costs a minor fortune in the process. I give the items to Gunther and I'm pretty sure he's sick of me by now. This is where it gets interesting. You see, I need to catch a dorado, but I'm not very good at fishing. With no success, I head to the beach. And oh my god, look at my energy. Past bear, you are giving me anxiety. Unfortunately, I don't really get anything of use, so I sell the fish, give Hugo a loving pat and go to bed. The wheat is ready to harvest on day 33 and the rest of the crops need watering as well. I really cannot wait for sprinklers to be able to be made. As it is Friday, I went south to the travelling cart, but I didn't buy anything again. Instead, I went fishing in an attempt to catch a dorado. However, I catch a pike. After spending most of the day being rubbish at fishing in the forest, I went fishing in a different area, the mountain lake. I reeled in a largemouth bass and a chest that had Neptune's glaive in it. I went to the mines to try out my shiny new sword and pick up a diamond that was waiting for me. After fighting a void spirit, I'd say it's not the worst sword I've used, but I prefer using the bone sword for speed. I spend too much time in the mines once again and barely make it to bed, but it doesn't matter as I get level 5 fishing and level 5 mining. That's 3 skills at level 5 already. Day 34 starts with me sorting out my inventory as it is a mess from the previous night. Then it's time to water all the plants again. I also harvested 3 hot peppers. I asked Clint to process some more geodes and he charges me a fortune. He gives me 6 iridium ore, which I have no use for. Hey, that rhymed! I donate the other items to Gunther and he gives me a reward. I remember to donate the hot pepper to the community bundle. I'm gonna confess something now. I never actually met the wizard in spring, so yeah, I'm gonna go do that maybe like now. The wizard is a bit of a weird guy, but I get it. Sometimes you've just gotta be weird. It might seem like today I've been really unproductive, and that's basically because I have been. Nothing too new happens on this day, and there are days that are like that. But I do spend an ungodly amount of time fishing though. I decided to plant some summer seeds. I'm not actually sure why I did this, but that's basically this entire playthrough so far. I place down the bars that Gunther gave me and head to bed and dream of level 5 farming. On day 35 I learned the baked fish recipe. I began watering and then realised that I had loads of radishes ready for plucking. It's Sunday and as per tradition I visited the travelling cart and bought nothing. Instead I went to the river in an attempt to fish up the dorado. I haven't seen one yet, so I'm not entirely sure they exist, but I did catch a sunfish. And a dinosaur egg? Oh my god, what? I'm sorry? I spend the rest of the day fishing by the river, but I don't find a dorado, but I do find a very full-looking chest. Feeling sorry for myself, I went fishing in the ocean for the crimson fish, the legendary fish of summer. I don't think I need to tell you how that went. I got into bed, filled with self-pity. It was time to harvest on day 36, and then it was time to water. I handed a poppy into the community centre, and then it was time to start fishing for the 7th day in a row. Yes, I am bored of it, but I want that flipping fish. I spend all day fishing, trying to get that absurd orange fish, but oh my god, my luck is awful and RNG hates me. I storm to the beach and find some glass shards that I'll give to Gunther tomorrow. I head to the mines as I hadn't been there in a while and kill some dust sprites. Feeling much more relaxed after the slaughtering, I went to bed and dreamed of level 6 fishing. It's storming on day 37, which means that I don't have to water my crops, and hopefully the apple tree will get struck by lightning. I don't want to touch it. This is pretty good weather to go fishing at the beach, and I'm glad I did because I caught a red snapper. I went inside Willie's and bought an Nvidia mod, which hopefully means that I'll be able to catch the fish a bit easier. I handed Gunther the glass shards. I also handed in the red snapper to the community bundle. I spent the rest of the evening doing a bit of deforestation as I needed wood. I just about remembered that time is a thing that exists, and I harvest a sunflower for the community bundle. Eventually I go to bed with Hugo by my side and dream of level 5 foraging. That's one goal of the season complete already. I felt really proud of myself on day 38 and picked up some summer spangles and then began to water my crops. I got a letter from Willie telling me about his new rod, and Lewis was telling me about the community potluck. Instead, I went to the South River and did some fishing, because what else am I going to do? I ran by Robin's to get a coop upgrade so that I can get an incubator and hatch a dinosaur egg. On the way back to the river, I popped into the community centre and handed in a sunflower to one of the bundles. Eventually, I returned to the river and Edit watched me catch a gold rainbow trout. I had finally done it. Oh my god, yes, finally! I caught that stupid orange fish. I threw the fish and some other stuff into the shipping bin and eventually went to bed. On day 39 I did my usual farm chores of watering all the crops. After that I grabbed the summer spangle and headed towards the luau. I spoke to everyone there for friendship points and I looked through Pierre's shop. The governor tried the soup and really enjoyed it, which means extra hearts for me. It was still quite early when I got home, so I went around Cinsap Forest and chopped down some trees. I suddenly remembered that sleep was a thing, so I ran to bed with Hugo by my side. I didn't have much energy on day 40, but my hops and tomatoes are ready, so that's good. After all my crops were watered, I went to the travelling cart and once again bought nothing despite needing most things, which at this point is pretty much tradition. I spent all morning at the beach trying to catch a puffer fish, but instead I got another tilapia and something with Gunther. Awesome! I went to the community centre and handed in the tomato, and I dropped by the museum and gave Gunther a bone and a shell, and he gave me a reward. Completely unrelated, but does anyone else think it's weird that Gunther doesn't have a home? Like, even Linus has a tent. Like, what does Gunther have? Anyway, I chowed down on the tomato and started clearing the farm, as I hadn't done that in a long time. I decide that I should go to bed at a reasonable time today, and I do, with Hugo by my side, and I dream of level 7 fishing. There's another storm on day 41, which means that I don't need to water my crops. There's also a massive harvest as the summer seeds had grown, and so have the melons. There's a message from Robin telling me that she's finished upgrading the coop, and that we now have an incubator. I grab the dinosaur egg and sprint into the coop, and we'll check on that in the future. I head to the community centre and hand in a melon for one of the bundles. As it was a rainy day, I headed to the mines to fight some dust sprites and some void spirits. It went relatively well as I killed one void spirit and I dropped a copper bar and a ladder. I was mining a huge copper vein and ended up finding a ladder, and I made it to floor 90 and found a new sword, the obsidian edge. I carried on and killed a bat which dropped a ladder and I made it to floor 95. Once again, I didn't pay attention to the time and ended up passing out in front of my own home in the pouring rain. Oopsies. I woke up in my own bed on day 42. Linus had saved me and Pam was asking for pale ale. I must have planted a starfruit at some point, but I don't remember doing that. I also harvested blueberries for the first time. After watering my crops, I went to the travelling cart and bought nothing. Instead, I asked Clint to process a geode and gave the pink sparkly rock thing to Gunther. I made a beeline for the community centre and remembered to hand in the blueberry that I had harvested that morning and completed a bundle. I got an amazing reward of a quality sprinkler. I once again went to the mines to try and make some further progress. But alas, I didn't make any progress and went home at somewhat of a reasonable time. I saw Hugo and got into bed and dreamed of level 6 combat. It was a good harvest on day 43 and a lot of watering to do. At some point I really need to sort out my tree farm. I gave Clint a jade, not realising I'd need them in the future, but it's okay because I got to 5 hearts with him. I still haven't received a bow of any kind in the mail from him, so I'm thinking if for that to happen, I'd have to smelt some more. That or I have the worst luck in the world. Annoyed by my own success/stupidity, I went to the beach to fish the pufferfish once again. I realised that I had enough money to ask Robin for a house upgrade, so I did. I dropped by the community centre on my way through town and handed in a piece of corn. Still fueled by my rage, I headed into the mines to do a bit of slaying, and not in a fashionable way. Whilst I didn't get a copper bar from the void spirits, I did find a good few minerals that could be sold. I stumbled into bed and dreamed of level 6 farming. I headed out of my farmhouse on day 44 and saw Robin working on it. While she worked on it, I did the usual farm chores. After that was done, I headed down to the beach to fish for the pufferfish. I had no luck and decided that I should go to the mines to get to the bottom of them. I didn't make any progress down the mines, but I did kill a lot of dust sprites and void spirits, but I didn't find any copper bars. I went to bed and dreamed of a better tomorrow. Robin was still working on my farmhouse on day 45 and I did my usual farm chores. My wood supply was dwindling, so I decided to clear more of the farm. I took a small break and went to the community centre and handed in the wood for the construction bundle. After that, I went to the mines in an attempt to complete some monster slayer goals. I made some good progress and decided to head home before it got too late. I went to bed with Hugo by my side. I had a nice spacious house on day 46, complete with a kitchen, and the first thing I did was move my bed. The second thing I did was the normal farm chores. I swung by Clint, and after being told to upgrade my tools for like the 20th time, I asked him to process some geodes. I then went to Gunther's to hand in a few things that I had been storing, and he gave me a bear statue that he had for some reason. Pretty cool. It was then time to spend too many hours at the beach trying to catch a pufferfish. Tired of being evaded by a stupid round fish, I went to the mines to kill some void spirits. This void spirit dropped a strange bun which has a 4% chance of being dropped, same as a copper bar. After a while I left the mines and headed home. After doing some awkward interior decorating, I went outside and decided to clear more of the farm. Eventually, I went back inside to bed and saw Hugo asleep with the teddy bear. It was storming again on day 47. I wondered if the apple tree would fall today. It was another Friday, so I went to the travelling cart and once again ignored her and bought nothing. Instead, I immediately ran to Gunther and showed him a skull that I had found in the mines. I bet he loved that. As it was raining and I was currently on strike from fishing, I went into the mines again to try and find another copper bar. Shockingly, I made it to floor 99 and I found a slime which kindly dropped a ladder. I destroyed the other crates and found some more hardwood. I dropped down the ladder and I found a chest that had a star drop in it. These give you more energy permanently, as well as a very interesting animation. I left the mines and went to the community centre where I handed in a red mushroom that I had found at some point. With lots of energy left over, I went to the farm and did some tidying up. I was pretty happy with how much progress I had made and went to bed. It was still storming on day 48 and the apple tree was still standing. At least I didn't have to water my crops. Demetrius sent me a letter asking for a melon. I don't actually remember if I did this or not, so I guess we'll find out together. I went to PS to buy some more seeds, but I got distracted and bought the backpack upgrade instead. I ran to Gunther and I showed him a bone that I had found in the mines. This feels very familiar to me for some reason. I still needed copper bars, so I headed into the mines once again. I found a cudgel thingy, and I made it to floor 105, but still no copper bars. I went back into the mines to work on some Slayer goals. I made some good progress and ended up completing the Dougie one. On the way back to the farm, I found a cherry waiting for me in the fruit cave. It was getting late, so I decided that I should go to bed. The storm was gone on day 49, but you know what wasn't gone? That stupid apple tree. I continued to ignore it and did some farm chores instead. It was Sunday again, so I went to visit the travelling cart, and this time, I bought nothing. I swung by Marley's and remembered that I needed to find Lewis's purple shorts at some point. I wonder where they are. I did actually need to see Marley, as I needed to buy 1 duck and 2 chickens from her. I bought a duck named Maddie, a brown chicken named Chicky, and a white chicken named Snipley. I immediately went to go and check on my new friends. Then I went to the community centre and handed in the cherries, and the regular wood and hardwood for the collection bundle. I then looked at the monster eradication goals and decided to kill some bugs, as I was very close to finishing that off. However, I got heavily distracted and made it to floor 110 and found some space boots as a reward. I left the mines and went to the beach as I hadn't been there in a few days and did some late night fishing. I suddenly remembered the time and sprinted home and made it to bed. I dreamed of level 6 mining. It was a sunny day on day 50, and what better way to spend it than doing farm chores. Once farm chores were done, I headed to the beach to try and catch a pufferfish. And after a lot of toing and throwing, I caught an octopus. I didn't even know that was a summer fish. Oops. But I stayed and continued to fish until I actually caught it. Oh my god, I was not actually expecting that to happen. Oh, yay. Felt like I could do anything, so I headed to the mines in an attempt to reach the bottom. Unfortunately, Lady Luck wasn't really on my side as I made it to floor 115, and I looked at the time and knew I had no chance of making it home before passing out. I was right, and I ended up passing out pretty far away from my bed. However, I did actually dream of reaching level 7 combat and level 6 foraging. There was still a lot to do on day 51. My inventory is a mess and farm chores need to be done. Once that was done, I went to Clint and paid him to process some geodes. I handed a couple of things to Gunther. After that, I went to the community centre and handed in the pufferfish. I was feeling pretty determined today, so I headed to the mines to try and get to the bottom of it. Again. By some sheer miracles, there were 2 ladders and I made it to the bottom of the mines, and I got the skull key which can be used in the future. I spent the rest of the evening in the mines and completed another Monster Slayer goal. Eventually, I went home and went to bed. It was another clear day on day 52 and farm chores needed to be done. I did see that the apple tree had somehow survived multiple storms and grown up fully. Once farm chores were done, I went into the coop to see the animals. Both chickens had grown up and given me an egg. I went to the mines in search of more dust bites. I'll be honest, I don't think I was probably paying attention because my health got ridiculously low. I checked the coop on my way home and saw that the dinosaur had hatched, and I called her Bruno. It was pretty early, so I decided to spend the rest of my energy clearing up the farm. After a while, I decided to go to bed. There was a relatively big harvest on day 53 and farm chores were calling. I got a letter from George asking for a hot pepper. I don't know if I'll be able to do that if I'm honest. I went to the community centre and handed in a fried egg for the chef's bundle. I went to Clint and got him to process another geode for me. I've got some serious doubts about the conditions of getting mail from Clint. We were at 5 hearts with the dude and I've received nothing from him. According to the wiki, you don't need any hearts to get a bar in the post from him, but higher hearts means a higher chance. I think there was a hidden condition that the player must have crafted a furnace or smelted a bar in order for them to get something from Clint. That, or I am the unluckiest player in Stardew Valley. We also gave the item to Gunther. I headed to Robin's and asked her to build me a barn. I finally started decorating my farm, and by decorating, I mean I made a pretty path. Pleased with my path, I headed to the mines for more copper bars because Clint was holding out, let's be honest. I had no luck and went to bed and dreamed of level 8 fishing. It was storming again on day 54 and there wasn't much to do on the farm. I did admire Robin for working on the barn though. I went to the fruit cave after what felt like forever and found an orange waiting for me. I also found an artifact waiting for me outside of Robin's house on the way to the community centre. I donated the orange to the artisan bundle and the arrowhead to the museum. Gunther gave me another reward, a raccoon bearcrow. I suddenly remembered that it was Friday and the travelling cart was there. For once, I didn't need to buy anything. I went back to the community centre because I forgot to drop off the duck egg from earlier. After that, I went back into the mines to work on some Slayer goals. It was starting to get late, so I decided to go to bed at a reasonable time. It was still storming on day 55 and Robin was still working on the barn. She really is a trooper. I went into the fruit cave again and found an apricot. That can be given to the community bundle. I handed in the apricot before I ate it for whatever reason. As it was storming and there was no point placing summer seeds, I headed into the mines again to continue working on Monster Slayer goals. After spending probably too much time in the mines, I just about made it home to bed. It was the last day of summer on day 56, and it was the day of the moonlight jelly, so Robin wasn't working. I don't blame her for that. Instead, I carried on doing farm chores. As it was a Sunday, I headed to the travelling cart and once again bought nothing. Anyway, I went and spent some more time in the mines. I killed another void spirit and got another copper bar. That's 3 in total. At 10 PM, the festival started and I headed to the beach. I spoke to everyone there and got some extra friendship points. Lewis pushed a burning boat into the ocean and we all watched it float away. We then got to jam to some of the best music in the game. This is the perfect time to reflect on everything that has happened this season. I got a big coop, a duck, 2 chickens and a baby dinosaur. I caught some of the most difficult fish I had the misery of encountering. I upgraded my house to have a kitchen. I reached the bottom of the mines and level 5 in all of my skills. I got to 5 hearts with possibly the most annoying NPC in the game. I donated a lot of items to the museum and the community centre, and most importantly of all, I got 2 more copper bars. There is still a lot for me to do, such as upgrading my tools, finishing the community centre and unlocking more areas of the map, but for now I'm happy with what I've been able to do and achieve. Other people might try this challenge in the future and be able to do this far more efficiently, however, they are pro Stardew Valley players and I am but a bear. I say one last goodnight to Hugo and go to sleep until 4.